Welcome to my presentation on the University of New Mexico's athletics funding issues. In this presentation, I will talk about funding in the athletic department and the issues that are currently being brought up. The University of New Mexico Athletics Department has received a large amount of negative feedback because of their recent choice in the summer of 2018 to cut 4 sports teams. The purpose of this report is to address the issue that UNM is awarding too much money to the football team, whose athletes do not take advantage of their scholarships and who do not perform academically compared to other teams. At public universities, funding for collegiate sports comes from government subsidies, research grants, donations, sponsorships, and tuition and fee payments. The cost of maintaining a collegiate sport and college football is extremely high. As of May 2018, the university disclosed the amounts that each sport is awarded, and the football program was given twice as much as the Lobo basketball team, whose finances equal roughly $3 million. The cumulative GPA of Lobo football players is 2.85, with Lobo basketball being the lowest at 2.24. The connection between athletic funding and athletic performance and academic performance has been noticed by many and has become a controversial issue. Many athletes, faculty of UNM, and outside parties are frustrated with the choice to drop 4 sports when it looked like football was the sport who was not making UNM any profits. However, when divided up by sport, UNM actually made money in recent seasons despite of the drop in ticket sales in Lobo football. For the fiscal year 2018 to 2019, UNM football made a profit of roughly $1.5 million. UNM has received a lot of backlash for cutting 4 revenue-producing sports for the sake of keeping Lobo football. The athletes of the 4 cut sports are also facing issues because of the scholarship money that they will no longer be receiving. The athletes whose sport was cut received cumulative GPAs of 3.1 or higher. This statistic demonstrates that UNM is not prioritizing athletes' academic success. Rather, they promote sports that look good to the general public. The University of New Mexico does not support the athletes that work the hardest to earn the highest GPAs. The sports that make the most money and promote the school are the ones that are supported and fought for even though they do not achieve attainable GPAs. Therefore, I recommend the following proposals. The UNM Athletic Department needs to refocus their attention and resources to sports and athletes who are succeeding academically. This means that the athletic department needs to take into account the academic performances of their athletes. Secondly, the UNM Athletic Department needs to move Lobo football into a lower division so that they do not accrue as much expenses. And lastly, the athletic department needs to decrease the number of football players on the Lobo football team, aka they do not need to recruit players that do not actively play a part in Lobo football. In February 2019, the New Mexico legislature suggested a bill that would give $2 million to UNM athletics to reinstate the athletes of the 4 sports teams that were cut. However, the bill met with conflict from UNM officials because the money does not account to additional expenses to reinstate sports and the Title IX issues that have been a reoccurring problem with UNM athletics. The University of New Mexico would have to drastically shift their focus from revenues and expenses to a GPA and student-athlete focus in order to reinstate the 4 sports teams. If the University of New Mexico shifted their focus from revenue-centered ideals to rewarding the hardworking student-athletes, a good amount of financial issues could be avoided. For example, not recruiting as many men for the UNM football team would reduce costs for the athletic department and allow for more athletes in skiing, soccer, and volleyball to succeed academically at UNM. As mentioned earlier, the UNM football team's cumulative GPA is a 2.8, and the lowest cumulative GPA of the 4 sports teams that were cut was a 3.1. The shift from money to academics would motivate the athletes on scholarships to perform better as students and athletes because they would have more at stake. This shift, in theory, would improve UNM's overall athletic and academic performance and would hypothetically improve funding from the state and other sponsors. My proposal is not financially dependent. The only flow of money is the one that has already been offered, and it would help the UNM Athletics Department drastically. The rest of the money flow would happen automatically once UNM shifts focus to rewarding and paying more attention to student athletes who perform well in their academics. The budget for my proposal is small, simple, and is already available to UNM athletics officials. If UNM accepts the $2 million from the state, they can reinstate the 4 cut sports teams and then focus their attention on UNM football. The University of New Mexico can easily counteract their problems with a simple shift in ideals. For example, cutting non-essential football players and not spending as much on local football in general would improve the academics of the athletes, which will hypothetically lead to a more rewarding athletic program financially and academically. Thank you for watching my presentation.